So today we've done some data gathering, some testing different various loads and that through the squeeze bore 22 down to 204 caliber or 20 cal. So these are the main ammo that we tested out. Ooh, we're missing something. We're missing the copper. Okay, so first of all, we've got the 60 grain Aguila Super Subsonic, and then we got the CCI Standard, the Mini Mags, the Velociter, the Stingers, the Super Maximum 30 grain Aguila hollow points, and then the copper 22. And these are all the speeds here. They were all checked with a magneto speed chronograph. Now this little thing's got a 21-inch barrel, and the only previous data I could find on the squeeze bore 22 was using a 16-inch barrel, and I only know of 5 rifles made by the same gunsmith using 16-inch barrels. And I don't have any hardcore numbers, but what I was told was the subsonics, you couldn't keep subsonic anymore, and the hypervelocity stuff picked up an extra. The more excited the ammo, the greater the increase in velocity. Okay, so I can tell you with today's results, our results are down off that. We're not achieving the velocity of the standard 22, and there's a pretty good reason for that. Is because I wanted to keep this a subsonic plinker. I went for a longer barrel. Okay, so the 21-inch barrel over the 16-inch, because I wanted to have the ability to be able to dock the barrel to tune the rifle itself to achieve the velocities that I wanted, which I wanted to keep the subsonic. Okay, so anyway, what we've got here, this is pretty messy, but up here are the speeds for the standard 22, and my mate's got a Browning T-bolt, and it's got a 22-inch barrel, and the 20 cal squeeze bore has a 21-inch barrel, so close to apples, the same ammo, shot in the same strings, using the same magneto speed chronograph, all within 20 minutes of each other. Okay, so what we got here is the standard 22 LR with the 60 grain Aguilas was getting a speed of 1919, 1912, 1926 feet a second. And with the squeeze bore, it was 872, 845, 847. So we're down a little bit. We're down roughly, down a bit. Anyway, the standard CCI standard velocity was 1084, 1076, 1086. And in mine it was 980, 990, 978, 985, 995. So down a little bit. Mini mags 1222, 1244, 1194 for the standard 22. In the 20 cal it was 1919, 1119, 1108, 1157. So again, it's down a little bit, nearly around, we'll say around at that 100 feet a second at least. Then we go the velocitors. 22 was 1484, 1507, 1461. 20 cal is 1404, 1372, 1366. Stingers in standard 22, 1547, 1566, 1558. 20 cal 1481, 1504, 1478. And so basically I won't go on with any more. What I might do is I'll screenshot this and just add this maybe at the start of the video or at the end of the video, and if anyone really wants to have a close look at it, you can just pause it. But both rifles, the magneto speed wouldn't pick up the copper, the CCI copper 22 ones with the advertised speed of 1850 with a 21 grain powdered copper, compressed powdered copper bullet. Now, the interesting thing is, I'll show you, but in the 20 cal, they were separating. They were separating into two slugs, so which I'll go show you the holes in the target in a minute. But the standard 22 they were staying together and leaving a single hole. But even at a couple of feet, 2 feet, and we tested 2 feet, and we tested at about 3 meters, so about 10 feet as well. And definitely going through the squeeze bore, it was separating the projectiles into two. So I'll go out and show you that now. Okay, of course the wind had to pick up, but what we've got here is we've got 6 holes from 3 shots, right? So the copper, the CCI copper bullets out of the out of the squeeze bore were separating, and these two were both from about 2 feet away, and this top one was from about 10 feet away. So you can see that they're basically separating in half. And just to confirm it, we did another one just here, and that was from about 4 feet away. So definitely you don't want to be shooting those, and you don't want to be shooting those probably the CB caps, and you probably don't also want to shoot those what are they called, the Aguila Super Calibri or Calibri, or however you pronounce that. They were getting stuck in the bore as well. So we're moving forward with the data. This is all the stuff that we need to go through. Yeah, so we're going to do some penetration tests now, and we'll get back. Okay, so something else we were going to say about these is definitely these 60 grainers are stabilizing, and they're actually shooting quite accurate, even though that we've only shot them at 24 yards so far. So we want to play around with these more, and what this is telling me is 21 inches is definitely too long for this squeeze bore. So after today, after we finish gathering some data, we will probably end up getting this. We might have to go back in a couple of stages, but I'm thinking, considering this is meant to pick up 100 to 200 feet a second depending on the type of ammo, and you can't keep subsonic, we can obviously delete a bit of the barrel length. So maybe going back to 16 inches, which would be absolutely fine for this, because this is a lightweight little walkabout small game rifle. That's not the scope that's going to stay on it. It's way too heavy. That eyepiece is just ridiculous. But this was the test mule, and this will be the little walkabout hunting rifle. We've got a CZ 457. That's got interchangeable barrels, so that's going to get a barrel for this as well. So for a 20 cal barrel for the CZ as well. So that's going to be a heavyweight target barrel, and this one's going to be the lightweight. As you can see, it's a pretty skinny profile. It's a nice light little rifle, so lopping off another 4 inches or so, that's going to make it even a little bit handier and a little bit lighter again. Okay, so anyway, I'll get back soon when I know more. Okay, we're doing some basic penetration now. The 20 cal's already been shot, and we're just shooting through the middle plank over there. So you just shoot whenever you want, mate. And now we're just doing the 22. So that was the 60 grain Aguila. Next up will be the standard velocity, mini mag, next up Velocita, then Stinger, and then the Aguila Super Maximum 30 grain hollow. Okay, we'll go have a suss. So this is what we're doing, just shooting the pairs, 60 grain standard, mini mag, Velocita, Stinger, Super Maximum, and we'll have a look at the backside. Okay, so here's the back of that target. So this is the 60 grains Aguilas CCI standard from the 20 cal. It was stopped in the back here where the standard 22 went through, and then all the others are clean through. So at the moment the 20 cal's not quite living up to its expectations, but let's do some more. We may have handicapped it a little bit with too long a barrel, so anyway, we'll do some more shooting and get back. 60 grain, this is standard 22, the 20 cal's already been shot. Now this is penetration to a 6x4 bearer, mini mag, this is Velocita, Stinger, Super Maximum Aguila. Okay, we go suss it out. Okay, so this was the penetration test on the 6x4 bearer. And we started up the top there with the 60 grainers. The left hand column is the 20 cal. So it went 60 grain Aguila, standard velocity, mini mag, Velocita, Stinger, and Super Maximum. And there was only one penetration on these. So to show you what the timber is, 4 inches wide, roughly 100 mil. It's laminate, so you can see all the different layers there. And we had one penetration, that was from the 20 cal, and that was using the CCI mini mags, and these mini mags were round nose, so no hollow point. But so we got one little victory to the 20 cal today. So for maximum performance, definitely 21 inches. Makes the barrel a little bit too long for the squeeze bore to get its maximum potential, but it does keep the subsonics in line. Well, it keeps the subsonic and it stays below the speed of sound and gives you a little bit of a margin there as well. So if that's what you want it for, which is kind of what I'm aiming at, to keep this property we come to is small and narrow, so we can't make too much noise. So that's what we wanted, to keep the subsonics or standard velocity under the speed of sound and doesn't upset anybody, and we get to keep playing. So that was the goal. It seems to be working. However, I believe I'm going to do another weekend or two of testing, and we'll make up our minds from there where we go. Maybe I think we might end up docking the barrel down to 16 inches with this one, and we may have someone who might be able to help us who is a bit of a gunsmith who has some property, and we may be able to work out something with him so he can maybe dock 1 inch or 2 inches at a time and get down to where we start to pick up velocity again, and potentially go as far down as 16 inches. And then we know that when we do the heavy barrel, target barrel for the CZ, we know we can pretty much probably go straight to 20 inch, and we'll be right. Keep the barrel short and fat, nice and rigid, for best harmonics and accuracy potential. So that's the plan. That's pretty much the day for us. We've got to pack up, got a bit of a drive to get home and do some chores. So go home, edit this video, and I might have some final thoughts after this. I might take this block home actually, and when I go home I might split this block up and try and recover some projectiles and see how they compared to each other. Okay. So unfortunately I've cut into the 20 cal bullet, so you can see that the 60 grainer for the 22s kept punching on through, but we've cut into it here, and this is the back side of the first piece that I cut out. So that was sitting there like that. You can see the 22 hole is a little bit bigger, but the 20 cal hole here looks to be a little bit bigger. So anyway, try and get this thing out. Rightio. So after dissecting this piece of laminated bearer, this is what I've come up with. 22 on the left and the 20 cal on the right. Now the daylight's getting really shitty, but what does this tell us? Really not much. This one here, the mini mags, we got complete penetration on the 20 cal. Velocitors, the stangers, and the Aguila Super Maximums down the bottom here. So really, all in all I did was made a heap of mess for not a whole heap of information really. Like, none are particularly mushroom more than the other, none stayed together better really, and they swap and change. So with it, you know, I could probably weigh them and they're probably all going to be within like grains of each other, so I don't really see the point in that because my digi scales have had it now, so I'd have to set up the beams and that's just going to take too long. So yeah, I'd say at the moment the 20 cal getting held back with velocity until I get the barrel shortened and pick the speed up to where the 20 cal's meant to be. It's going to be too sort of hard, but you know, at the end of the day, this is just the first bit of data, results and things like that. Like you can see that 60 grainer at the top. Well, I was going to say the 22 cal's a fair bit longer, but I did cut into the back of that 60 grainer from the 20 cal with the saw. So yeah, jury's still out. Okay, get back soon. Okay guys, so while I'm sitting here having a little look at the results of the data that I've got. Dug out the projectiles, had a little bit more of a chat to my mate that I was with. I guess where we're sort of thinking now, and where my thoughts are, is although we don't have the results that ideally would have really hoped for, what we have to understand is I specifically stayed on the side of caution by going with the longer barrel, so I didn't have the subsonics exceeding the speed of sound. You know, what's the point in having a 22 that can shoot cheap subsonics if you can't use them? So that was my biggest concern. So I guess I'm sort of thinking maybe an inch might make a fair bit of a difference. So I think we'll start with docking an inch, and then maybe go back in. Don't know, we'll see how that inch goes. But I think what we want to do is we want to dock the barrel back until the velocities of the subsonics and the standard velocities are getting right on around that 1100 feet a second, and maybe, you know, and then do a fair bit more testing there. I'm not afraid of docking the barrel on this first little lightweight little sporter, because at the end of the day it's a hunting rifle. This is the rabbit rifle. This is the little thing to go around walking around camp and, you know, try and take down some bunnies and some foxes and feral cats and things like that, you know. So I might just, the whole intention of this rifle was a test bed. This is something I've wanted to do for, 33 years, since I was an 11-year-old reading articles back in the 80s. I read about this concept and then didn't hear anything about it until, about a year ago. So then I just jumped on it, threw the $1,100 down, and told my very good friend that sacrifice her little 22 and turn it into a really cool little unique little thing. It's an old rifle, it's been redone. It makes a good conversation starter at the range. I get to get the data and tinker with this little idea that I've had for a long time, and sometimes you just got to bite the bullet, slap the money on the table, and just get it done. And there's nothing on the interweb or YouTube or anything about it, so I'm throwing it out there. If I can dial down this data and get it sorted, if it works, if we can get it dialed in, this could be really good. This could be right on the heels of the 22 Magnum 17 HMR in long range performance. Not out of the muzzle, but as we get to 100 yards or 100 meters and then beyond, it'll be very interesting, because these results that we've got here with the 60 grainers, we're looking at around 60 feet a second difference between the 22 and the 20 cal, and the 20 cal's slower on all of the different types of ammunition. Some of the more extreme ones, which as we go up to the hyper velocities, the variation in speed between the standard 22 and the 20 cal is greater. So we're getting up around the 160 feet a second with the super maximums, I believe. But on average, I guess you could say on average across the board, we're looking at, on the lower end, 50 to 60 feet a second difference between 22 and 20 cal, and then the medium velocity, so from CCI standards to velocities, we're looking at around 100 feet a second. And then as we get into the more hyper velocities, like the Stingers and the Super Maximums, you can really see that they, we're going over 100 feet a second difference. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens as the barrel gets shorter, because I think what's happening is, because of the forcing cone in front of the chamber, that's peaking the peak pressures sooner, quicker, burning up all the powder, making the projectile longer and narrower, so it's giving it more surface area and more drag. And because it's peaked its pressure and burnt its propellant up quicker, this extra couple of inches of barrel that we got, that's all it's doing is slowing it down. So as we shorten the barrel, I think we should see some velocity improvements, and it'd be very interesting to see when we go. We might just step back 1 full inch straight off the bat and then see how we go from there, because I guess the plan is we got a CZ457 and MTR, I believe it is, brand new, never fired. The whole reason behind that is it's a heavy barrel, 16 inch. It's designed from the get-go as a target rifle. So we've got a Vortex Viper scope to put on that. What's that, 5 to 25 or something like that. 34 mil tube. And we'll probably get some, maybe some Burris, is it Z or Signature Series rings that have got the little insert, so you can dial in a few MOA in that as well, and the scope's got like 80 MOA built into it. So we want that thing to be a subsonic, an accurate subsonic rifle for long range targets on little tiny properties. That's what it's there for. It's not a hunting rifle, so that's the one that we want to keep the subsonics like really tuned for. So I'm thinking maybe a short heavy barrel, well, maybe a 19-20 inch. We'll just see what this where we go with this data here, what we'll do with that. But this rifle here, I think the plan will be is we might just keep stepping back to 16 inch, or we'll just go by the velocities anyway. We'll just keep going back once we see the right direction of velocity. Might just keep dialing back bit by bit by bit by bit until we start to until I think we're getting near the top, and then we'll just stop it there. So this one here can afford to be, the high velocity version, lightweight little walkabout thing. So I think I've covered everything. I've probably said the same thing over and over and over again. But yeah, at least we, the thing with going too long initially in the barrel is you can always remove metal, but if we went too short, you can't add metal. So it's just one of those things. It is what it is. So anyway, not disappointed. This is all part of the learning curve, and to be honest, actually, considering it's 100 feet a second down, it's actually doing quite well, because some of the through the bearer, the only one to get full penetration was the 20 cal, and that's doing that with roughly 100 feet a second slower. So it's starting off 100 feet a second slower. It's got on its side a little tiny bit of sectional density and ballistic coefficient, but at those ranges of 24 meters, I think it was, it's around 30 yards, give or take. It hasn't really started slowing down, I don't think, and the ballistic coefficient's not really going to make a a difference. It's just going to be knee plat area, which I think actually the knee plat will be the same size anyway, because that won't be affected by the squishing down. It'll just be the actual the shank of the projectile itself that gets swaged down. So yeah, I think it's doing quite well. We'll just take it from here and get back.